Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling a massive theological mix-up, the difference between two very similar sounding terms used all the time in Christian theology. Let's jump right in and find out exactly what sets them apart.
Ascension or assumption. Honestly, it's super easy to get these two crossed. On the surface, they both involve someone heading into heaven, body and soul, right? But the actual difference between them, it's profound, and it is deeply theological.
Ascension and assumption. Look, they both start with A, they end with the exact same sound, and yeah, they both describe this incredible upward heavenly movement. But let's actually separate the two and figure out what truly makes them distinct.
Okay, Section 1. The Ascension of Jesus Christ.
So the ascension refers specifically to Jesus Christ ascending into heaven exactly 40 days after his resurrection. This happens after Jesus definitively conquered sin and death, returning to the Father in absolute, unmatched glory.
And Acts chapter 1 verse 9 gives us this really striking visual. It says, "He was lifted up, and a cloud took him out of their sight." But the absolute crucial detail here is the how. How did this upward movement actually happen?
Well, Jesus ascended entirely by his own divine power. He wasn't carried by some outside force, Because he is both fully man and fully God, the glory he returned to was quite literally a glory that was his from all eternity. He absolutely didn't need any assistance to reclaim it. This event carries some massive theological weight. It completely reveals Christ's divinity, his ultimate victory over death, and his eternal kingship. Plus, it essentially kickstarts the church's whole mission, since Jesus sends his disciples out into the world right before he ascends.
Moving right along to Section 2, the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary.
Now, the Assumption refers to Mary being taken body and soul into heaven at the very end of her earthly life. You can probably already see the parallels with the Ascension, but the mechanics behind this one are entirely different. Unlike Jesus, Mary did not rise by her own power. The word assumed literally means she was taken up. She was lifted by God's power into heavenly glory as this incredibly singular grace. She didn't orchestrate this movement herself. It was a direct, powerful act of God upon her.
So why was Mary granted this one-of-a-kind grace? Well, it comes down to her three pivotal roles in Christian theology. She is the Mother of God, she's the Ark of the New Covenant, and she is uniquely united to Christ in his overarching mission. Because she has this totally unparalleled role, she receives an completely unparalleled grace.
And Mary's assumption reveals the destiny prepared for anyone who is fully united to God. It shows a definitive victory over corruption, the actual reality of resurrection, and the ultimate promise of eternal life. In Mary, the church basically gets a sneak peek of what heaven promises the faithful. She's kind of the ultimate blueprint for us.
Which brings us to Section 3, the essential difference of power versus grace.
All right, here is the vital distinction, the real aha moment of this explainer. Jesus ascended by his own power. Mary was assumed by God's power. It's this incredibly stark contrast between the inherent divine power of the Son and the profound triumph of grace given to his mother.
Just to really cement this in your mind, Jesus ascends by his own divine mechanism, right? While Mary is assumed through the mechanism of God's grace. Understanding who is moving and by whose power literally unlocks the entirety of the theological difference here. Finally, let's look at Section 4, the deeper beauty, and how they point to the exact same hope. You see, the Ascension points to Christ the divine King returning in glory. It's a massive revelation of his ultimate authority. The Assumption, on the other hand, points to what God's grace can accomplish in a human life that is just fully surrendered to him. Ascension is Christ's divine glory. Assumption is Mary's immense human privilege.
But listen, these are definitely not competing mysteries. You don't have to choose between them, and they absolutely don't cancel each other out. Actually, scratch that. They don't just not cancel each other out, they completely belong together in the broader theological narrative.
Together, they form this beautiful, unified promise. Christ ascends by his own divine authority to prepare heaven, pioneering the way for his people. And Mary? She's taken to heaven by God's grace to be the first and absolute greatest sign of what awaits the faithful. He paves the way, and she stands as the ultimate proof of the destination. Both of these events, despite their entirely different mechanics, point toward the exact same thing, the hope of eternal life with God. So, knowing this shared hope, how does it change your perspective today? When you really think about the absolute power of the Ascension and the stunning grace of the Assumption, what does that mean for your own future? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep digging into these incredible truths.